how to control your mind. There is a battle happening inside you right now, a war between the person you are and the person you were meant to become. The battlefield. It's your mind, the thoughts you think, the emotions you feed, the stories you replay every night before sleep. They shape your reality, not your environment, not your past, not even your education, just one thing, the way you think. If you don't learn to control your mind will control you. And when that happens, your dreams, your discipline, your potential, all of it gets hijacked by fear, laziness, doubt, and distraction. But this audiobook is your turning point. Because this is not about theory, this is about transformation. It's about learning how to discipline your focus, how to tame the wild storm inside your head, and how to rebuild your mental world from the inside out. So, if you're tired of living on autopilot, if you want to break free from the invisible cage of self-sabotage, then stay with me. Because by the end of this journey, you'll not only learn how to control your mind, you'll finally realize that your mind was never the enemy. You just needed to reclaim it. Let's begin. And don't forget, if you find this audiobook helpful, make sure to follow or subscribe so you never miss the content that helps you become unstoppable. Chapter 1. The mind is a battlefield, and you are the commander. Your mind is not just a place where thoughts exist. It is a battlefield, a place of daily war, invisible but powerful. The victory or defeat of your entire life is often decided right here, long before anything happens in the real world. Every dream you have ever had, every fear that held you back, every habit that shapes your day, it all begins in the mind. You see, most people think their thoughts are harmless, just passing ideas. But thoughts are not visitors, they are builders. Every thought that enters your mind lays a brick. If you keep thinking the same thought again and again, you build a wall, a structure, a mental house where you start to live. This is why people get stuck. They think the world outside is against them, but what's really happening is that their own mind has become a prison, and they don't even realize it. Because the chains are invisible. That voice in your head, the one that says you're not ready, or you'll never succeed, or you'll always be like this, that voice is the enemy, and the enemy lives inside. But here's the truth no one tells you. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. You are the commander of your own mind. You are the one who gets to decide what stays and what goes. But only if you wake up, only if you take the position of power and say, I'm done letting my mind bully me. I'm done letting fear write the script of my life. I'm done being a slave to my impulses, my distractions, my inner critic. It starts now. Let's get one thing straight. Your mind is not naturally your friend. Your mind wants safety, not growth. It wants routine, not risk. It wants comfort, not greatness. If you want to evolve, to become more, you're going to have to lead. You're going to have to fight, because your mind will try to convince you to stay the same every single day. And you must push back. This is why most people never change. They wait for motivation, they wait for confidence, they wait for a perfect moment. But those things never come, because they're all created after you take control, after you start acting, after you make a decision, after you say, I don't care how I feel, I'm doing it anyway. Discipline begins in the mind. Discipline is what separates those who dream from those who build. It's not about feeling ready. It's about choosing your thoughts, managing your energy, focusing your attention like a weapon. When you master that, you can create anything. You can be unstoppable. But make no mistake, the mind will resist. It will whisper 100 reasons why you should delay. It will remind you of all the times you failed. It will try to keep you small. That's what the battlefield looks like. Not guns, not noise, just quiet resistance. Subtle thoughts, silent sabotage. But now that you see it, you can fight it. You fight it by noticing, by stepping back from the voice and asking, is this thought helping me or hurting me? You fight it by replacing fear with focus, by breathing through the chaos and choosing stillness, by reminding yourself, I am not my thoughts. I control what I accept. I control what I build. And every time you do that, you win a small battle. You get stronger. You grow more focused, more intentional, more aligned. It doesn't happen overnight. Control isn't flipping a switch. It's building a habit. It's waking up every morning and saying, I choose my thoughts today. I will not let anxiety control me. I will not let negativity define me. I will not let laziness rule me. This is not fake positivity. This is power. This is you reclaiming the driver's seat of your life. You see, the mind is like a garden. If you don't plant seeds with purpose, weeds will grow by default. Fear, doubt, anger, they grow wild if left unchecked. But when you choose what to think, when you speak life into your mind, when you control your attention, you become the gardener, you become the architect. And over time, what was once a battlefield becomes a place of peace. But only if you train it. Control doesn't mean you never have bad thoughts. It means bad thoughts no longer control you. They come and go, like clouds in the sky, and you remain grounded, focused, centered. Because now you know thoughts are not facts, feelings are not commands, and you are not a victim, you are the commander. So from this day forward, walk like a leader, breathe like a warrior, think like a winner. Because the battlefield hasn't disappeared, but now you know how to win. Now you know the power was always yours. This is the beginning of your mental transformation. And in the next chapters, you're going to learn how to sharpen that control, how to rewire your thoughts, and how to rebuild the deepest parts of your identity, starting from within. Because the mind is not just a battlefield, it is also a doorway. And when you control your mind, you open the door to your highest self. Let's keep going. Chapter 2. Breaking free from mental slavery. There is a form of slavery that no one talks about. It doesn't involve chains or prisons. It doesn't need a jailer or a courtroom. It lives quietly in your thoughts. It wears the mask of comfort. And worst of all, it feels normal. Mental slavery is when your thoughts no longer belong to you. It's when your actions, emotions, and beliefs are controlled by fear, doubt, guilt, and the past. It's when you're alive but not awake, functioning but not free. You smile on the outside, but inside, something feels stuck. You move, but never forward. This kind of slavery is dangerous because it's invisible. No one sees your battles. No one hears the war inside your head. People see your job, your clothes, your posts on social media, but they don't see how you wake up dreading your own thoughts. They don't see how your mind replays old mistakes like a broken record. They don't see how you feel paralyzed, even when everything looks fine. That's how mental slavery works. Quiet, silent, persistent. It starts early. Maybe someone told you you're not good enough. Maybe you failed once, and that failure became your identity. Maybe you grew up in a home where fear was normal, where dreams were laughed at, and silence was safer than self-expression. Whatever the source, your mind adapted. It created defense systems. It built walls to protect you from rejection, shame, and pain. But those same walls, they also keep out growth, love, risk, and change. You can't grow and stay safe at the same time. And if you don't take control of those mental patterns, you'll repeat the same cycle for the rest of your life. You'll find yourself shrinking when you should rise. You'll sabotage relationships. You'll chase distraction instead of purpose. You'll say, this is just who I am, but deep down, you'll know, this is not who I was meant to be. So how do you break free? It begins with awareness. You have to see the cage. You have to look at your patterns with honesty, not shame, not judgment, just clarity. Ask yourself, what thoughts do I repeat every day? What beliefs am I living with that don't even belong to me? Who told me I can't? Who taught me to fear myself? You must learn to separate you from your programming. You were not born with limits. You were trained to believe in them. You were trained to settle, trained to stay small, trained to avoid failure as if failure was the enemy. But failure is not the problem. Fear of failure is. That fear lives in the mental cage you inherited, not the one you chose. But here's the truth. Cages can be broken. Mental slavery can be undone, but not by accident. It takes work. It takes attention. It takes rewiring your identity, moment by moment. And most of all, it takes permission. You have to give yourself permission to question everything you were taught about yourself, because freedom begins with permission. Give yourself permission to change, permission to evolve, permission to want more, permission to think differently, speak differently, act differently. You don't owe the past your loyalty. You owe the future your courage. Let go of the stories that no longer serve you. Let go of the names people called you, the labels they stuck on you, the expectations they buried you under. You don't have to carry that anymore. That was their vision, their fear, their limits. You are not your history. You are your possibility. Mental slavery thrives when you forget who you are, when you believe you are powerless. But deep inside, your true self has never been destroyed, only buried. And the moment you start reclaiming it, everything begins to change. Start by changing your inner language. Stop saying I can't. Start saying I'm learning. Stop saying this always happens to me. Start saying I create what happens next. Stop saying I'm not like them. Start saying I'm becoming the best version of me. Your words shape your mind. Your mind shapes your actions. Your actions shape your future. But first, you must kill the old script. That voice that says, stay quiet, don't try, you're not ready. That voice is not yours. It's the voice of fear, dressed up like reason. It sounds like it's trying to protect you, but it's only trying to keep you the same. Thank it for trying. And then ignore it. You are not here to stay the same. You are here to break patterns, to shatter ceilings, to burn the blueprint that others gave you and draw a new one with your own hand. One thought at a time. It will not be easy. You'll have days where the cage feels safer, where the old version of you feels more familiar. But don't stop. Growth is messy, freedom is hard, but regret is harder. Every time you step forward, the cage gets weaker. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you grow. Every time you say no more to the lies in your head, you become more of who you really are. And soon, the cage becomes dust. You look back, and you don't even recognize the person you used to be. You realize you weren't stuck, you were asleep, you weren't broken, you were buried, and now you are awake, aware, alive. So break the chains, choose new thoughts, feed new beliefs, take new actions, speak new words, and do it again and again, until freedom is no longer a dream, but a daily experience. Because the truth is, no one can free your mind but you. And once you do, no one can ever take that power away again. Chapter 3. Thoughts become things. Reprogramming your reality. Everything around you began as a thought. The chair you sit on, the phone you hold, the home you live in, the career path you're following, the version of yourself you've become. It all started in someone's mind. And that's the truth most people never grasp. Your mind is not a mirror of reality. It is the creator of reality. If your life feels chaotic, distracted, or limited, it's not because of the world. It's because of the programming inside your head. Because your thoughts, repeated often enough, become your beliefs. Your beliefs dictate your actions, and your actions build your life. So if you want to change your life, don't start with your environment. Start with your mind. Start with your thoughts, those tiny, silent whispers that show up the moment you open your eyes. Most of them are unconscious, recycled, old. Thoughts you've thought 1,000 times, stories you've heard from others, wounds from your childhood, doubts inherited from people who gave up on themselves. And here's the danger. The mind doesn't know what's real or not. It believes what you feed it. If you think you're a failure, it will find evidence. If you think you're not lovable, it will twist every relationship to fit that narrative. If you think success is for others, not you, your mind will make sure you never reach for more. Not because it's true, but because it's programmed. Thoughts become things. This is not magic. This is biology. Your brain is built to adapt. It's plastic, flexible. What you repeat, you reinforce. Neural pathways grow stronger the more they are used. So if you constantly think negative, anxious, fearful thoughts, your brain becomes wired for negativity, anxiety, and fear, not because you are broken, but because you are consistent. But here's the power. If your brain can be wired for pain, it can be rewired for peace. If it can be programmed for limitation, it can be reprogrammed for liberation. You are not stuck. You are just patterned. And patterns can be broken. Start small. Start simple. Begin by becoming conscious of what you think. Don't judge it. Just watch it. Notice the thoughts that repeat, especially the ones that start with "I always," or "I never," or "That's just how I am." These are not facts. These are codes, old software, running in the background, slowing your life down. Reprogramming starts when you stop agreeing with every thought. You are not required to believe everything your mind tells you. You can interrupt it. You can override it. You can install something better. Use your words. Speak the reality you want, not the one you fear. Say it out loud, even if it feels fake at first. I am focused. I am learning to trust myself. I am allowed to grow. I don't chase people. I attract peace. I am in control of my mind, and it is quiet, strong, and clear. Your brain will resist at first. It will say that's not true. It will say you're lying. But the brain adapts, the brain updates, and eventually what you repeat becomes what you believe. You are not trying to be perfect. You are trying to be aware. That's the power shift. When you reprogram your thoughts, you start acting differently. You walk into a room and feel more grounded. You make decisions faster. You stop reacting from emotion and start responding from wisdom. You let go quicker. You focus longer. You dream bolder. And people around you start to notice. Not because you told them, but because your energy changed. Your energy is shaped by your thoughts. That's why someone can walk into a room and light it up without saying a word. That's why some people feel heavy to be around. Even when they smile, thoughts are invisible. But they are powerful. They carry weight. They carry frequency. And that's why controlling your mind is the highest form of power. No external success will matter if your internal dialogue is destructive. Because no matter where you go, your mind goes with you. And if you're not the one programming it, someone else already has. So, take it back. Take back your attention. Take back your focus. Take back your story. Feed your mind what you want to grow, not what you're afraid of. Read what inspires you. Watch what uplifts you. Surround yourself with people who remind you who you are. Speak to yourself like someone you love. Your mind is listening. Every single day, your mind is choosing a path toward growth or decay, peace or chaos, love or fear. You don't have to control every thought, but you do have to direct them. Like a ship needs a captain, your mind needs a leader. And when you lead with intention, you unlock a new world. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Because now your thoughts are aligned with your future. Not your fears. Not your wounds. Not your history. You've begun the greatest reprogramming project of all. Not of your phone. Not of your schedule, but of your mind. And that changes everything. Let's go deeper. Chapter 4. Emotion is not the enemy. How to master your reaction. You've been told to control your emotions, to suppress your anger, to hide your sadness, to ignore your fear. You've been taught that emotion makes you weak, that it clouds your thinking, disrupts your focus, and drags you away from logic. But that's not true. Emotion is not the enemy. Emotion is energy, pure, powerful, raw energy. It's your inner signal, your mind's way of speaking to you when logic falls silent. It's not emotion that breaks people, it's the lack of understanding around it. It's the habit of reacting instead of responding. It's the confusion between a momentary feeling and a lifelong decision. If you want to master your mind, you must learn to master your emotional energy. Let's be clear. Emotions are not problems, they are messengers. Anger is a message that something feels unjust. Sadness is a message that something valuable is slipping away. Fear is a message that something uncertain is ahead. Even jealousy is a message, pointing to a desire you haven't yet claimed. These emotions aren't dangerous. They become dangerous only when they go unmanaged, when you don't know what to do with them. When you let them sit in the driver's seat. Think about it like fire. Fire can cook your food, warm your home, power a machine, but the same fire left uncontrolled can burn everything to the ground. Emotion works the same way. You're not here to kill emotion. You're here to direct it, to feel it fully, then decide what to do with it. The real danger lies in reaction. Reacting is automatic, it's unconscious, it's the mind's way of defending the ego without thinking. It comes from habit, from wounds, from trauma. And when you live in reaction mode, you give away your power. You become a puppet pulled by your mood, your surroundings, or someone else's energy. Response, on the other hand, is power. Response is conscious, it's intentional, it's calm, it's when you feel the emotion. But choose your action. It's when you take a breath between what you feel and what you do. That breath, that tiny pause is where your life changes. It sounds small, but it's everything. Because in that pause you move from being owned by emotion to owning it. You say, yes, I'm angry, but I choose how I act. Yes, I'm afraid, but I move anyway. Yes, I feel hurt, but I will not destroy others because of it. This is mastery. Emotional mastery is not being cold or detached. It's being rooted. It's knowing what you feel, why you feel it, and what to do with that feeling. It's owning your inner world so fully that the outside world no longer defines you. When someone disrespects you, your reaction may be to lash out, but your response can be silence, or clarity, or walking away with dignity. When things go wrong, your reaction may be panic, but your response can be patience, perspective, and problem-solving. When fear shows up, your reaction may be to run, but your response can be to pause, assess, and still take the next step. Mastering your reaction doesn't mean the emotion disappears. It means it no longer dominates you. You become the observer, not the prisoner. And over time, your emotional muscles get stronger. You stop chasing validation. You stop taking things personally. You stop reacting to every little wave, because now you've become the ocean. This kind of control doesn't come from force. It comes from self-awareness. It comes from sitting with yourself when you're triggered, asking, what am I really feeling? Where is this coming from? Is this mine or something I've inherited? And then letting the emotion pass through you, instead of defining you. You see, every emotion carries a frequency. When you dwell in fear, worry, or rage, your entire system vibrates at a lower level. It affects your sleep, your clarity, your health. But when you shift that energy into courage, gratitude, focus, your system upgrades. You become lighter, sharper, stronger. Not because the world changed, but because you did. This is why emotional mastery is one of the highest forms of power. When you control how you respond, you take control of your outcomes. Your relationships improve, your decisions get cleaner, your progress becomes steady. Your confidence grows not because everything goes right, but because you stay right, no matter what goes wrong. And people feel it. They notice how you don't get rattled. They notice how you hold yourself with calm. They notice how you speak less, but say more. They notice how your presence feels safe, powerful without being loud. That's the energy of someone who knows how to feel everything but still choose their path. Someone who doesn't explode under pressure, but uses it as fuel. And you can be that person. You already are. Underneath the noise, underneath the chaos, underneath the reactions you were trained to live by. You just have to remember. You just have to reclaim. The next time emotion rises, don't run. Breathe, sit with it, feel it, then lead it. That's the path to freedom. Emotion is not your weakness. Emotion is your compass. And when you learn to read it, you will never be lost again. Chapter 5. The Art of Mental Discipline. How to train the mind like a muscle. Your mind is the most powerful tool you own. But just like a tool, it's only as effective as your ability to use it with skill, strength, and control. Most people treat the mind like a wild animal, chaotic, reactive, untamed. But a disciplined mind, that's a weapon. That's a force. That's what builds legacies. Mental discipline is not about being harsh on yourself. It's about becoming stronger than your excuses. It's about building the kind of focus, consistency, and inner stability that doesn't break under pressure. Just like the body needs resistance to grow, the mind needs structure. And you don't build a strong body by going to the gym once a month. You don't build mental discipline by meditating once a year or reading a book when life falls apart. You build it the same way you build muscle, through repetition, intensity, and consistency. The truth is, most people are mentally weak, not because they're lazy, but because they've never trained. They've never practiced doing what they said they would do. They've never held the line when motivation ran out. They've never made their mind follow orders, even when it screamed for distraction. That's what discipline really is. It's not glamorous. It's not always inspiring. It's not about waiting until you feel like it. It's about choosing your actions ahead of your emotions. Your emotions say, let's scroll, let's eat, let's sleep in, let's do it tomorrow. But your discipline says, no, we're building something, we move anyway. That's the shift. When your discipline becomes louder than your feelings. Now hear this. The mind is like a muscle in one more way. It gets tired. It has limits. It will resist. But it also recovers. And when you push through, even for one more rep, one more decision, one more disciplined move, you get stronger. Discipline doesn't just help you get things done. It rewires your brain. Every time you say yes to structure and no to distraction, you change the way your mind operates. You teach it that you are the leader, not your urges, not your emotions, not your habits. And once your mind learns that lesson, you unlock a new level of power, because now you can focus for longer. You can delay gratification. You can plan long-term. You can stay calm under fire. You can rise above the chaos, while others get consumed by it. You stop living by feelings. You start living by decisions. Let me be clear, discipline is not punishment. It is the highest form of self-respect. When you train your mind to be disciplined, what you're really saying is, I am worth the effort. My goals are real. My future deserves structure. Discipline gives you freedom. It frees you from addiction to comfort. It frees you from being tossed around by mood swings. It frees you from needing external motivation. Because now you are your motivation. Now you don't need a reason. You are the reason. So how do you train your mind like a muscle? You start small. You pick something simple and you follow through. Not because it's exciting, not because someone is watching, but because you said you would. You wake up when you said you would. You work when you feel lazy. You say no when temptation whispers yes. You finish what you start, even if it's not perfect. You build trust with yourself. One decision at a time. And here's the key. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your inner voice changes. It gets clearer. It gets louder. It starts to believe in you. That's the foundation of confidence, not talent, not talk, but discipline. People chase motivation, but motivation is a spark. Discipline is the firewood. It keeps the flame alive long after the excitement is gone. When your mind becomes disciplined, you become dangerous, because now you're consistent, and consistency beats intensity. Anyone can work hard once. Anyone can be focused for a day. But discipline shows up even when life doesn't feel fair, even when no one claps, even when it's raining, dark, quiet. Discipline is how empires are built in silence. And yes, it will be boring sometimes. Yes, it will be uncomfortable. But that's the point. Because each time you do something hard, each time you choose discipline over distraction, you stretch your mental capacity, you grow stronger. And the things that once broke you, now barely shake you. That's not luck, that's training. You trained your mind to obey your will. You trained it to stay on course when others drift. You trained it to serve your vision, not your impulses. This is the art of mental discipline. It's slow, it's steady, but it's unstoppable. And when you master it, no goal is out of reach. Because now you don't just have dreams. You have the discipline to build them. Chapter 6. Focus is a superpower, sharpen it or lose it. We are living in the age of distraction, an age where attention spans are shrinking, notifications are constant, and the ability to focus has become rare and therefore powerful. Your ability to focus is not just a skill, it's a superpower. Because in a noisy world, those who can silence the chaos and lock in, they win. Look around you. Most people can't go 10 minutes without checking their phone. They start something important, then drift into scrolling. They open a book, then jump to a message. They begin a dream, then lose themselves in comparison. This is no accident. The modern world is designed to steal your attention, to keep you reactive, distracted, overstimulated. Because if they can control your focus, they can control your time. And if they control your time, they control your life. But you have a choice. You can take it back. You can train your mind to focus like a laser, not scatter like dust. You can become the kind of person who locks in, who sits down to work and actually works, who finishes what they start, who gives their attention to what matters and nothing else. And that person becomes unstoppable. Because when you master focus, you accelerate everything. You learn faster, you grow deeper, you reach goals quicker, you make better decisions. You cut through the noise and build a life with clarity. Focus is what separates the dreamers from the doers, the scattered from the sharp, the average from the elite. But make no mistake, focus is not natural. It must be trained. Just like a muscle, it weakens without use and strengthens with practice. So how do you train focus? You start by removing what weakens it, the endless scrolling, the background noise, the multitasking, the addiction to being busy but never effective. Because focus is not just about doing more, it's about doing less, better. It's about creating mental space so that your energy is no longer divided between 50 things. It's about learning to say no. Not because you're rude, but because you're focused. It's about building your days with intention, not drifting through them, reacting to whatever shows up. You create focus by choosing where your attention goes. And you protect that attention like it's gold, because it is. You also train focus by doing deep work. Set a timer, shut everything off, and pour your full mind into one task, with no interruption, no escape. It will feel hard at first. Your brain will fight. It will beg for a distraction. But that's part of the training. Push through. You'll feel your thoughts clear up. You'll feel a rhythm take over. You'll get lost in your work. And that state? That's called flow. It's where greatness is created. And it can only happen when your focus is deep and uninterrupted. This kind of focus changes everything. You stop wasting time. You stop getting pulled into drama. You stop needing constant motivation. Because now, your focus creates your motivation. Every time you sit down and lock in, your identity upgrades. You start seeing yourself differently. You start believing, I am someone who finishes. I am someone who creates. I am someone who doesn't need to chase dopamine. I build momentum instead. You build momentum by focusing. Discipline gets you to start. Focus keeps you going. And here's what no one tells you. Focus feels better than distraction. It may not feel like it at first, because your brain is wired for stimulation. But over time, when you focus deeply, your mind calms down. You feel peace. You feel progress. You feel powerful, because you're in control. Distraction makes you reactive. Focus makes you creative. Distraction makes you anxious. Focus makes you confident. Distraction makes you forget who you are. Focus brings you back. So every day, ask yourself, what am I giving my attention to? Does it serve my vision? Or is it stealing my energy? Because you only get one mind. And where that mind focuses, your life follows. This is why focus is no longer optional. It's survival. It's leadership. It's success. It's self-mastery. You don't need more time. You need fewer distractions. You need sharper focus. You need to protect your energy like your future depends on it, because it does. When you sharpen your focus, the world slows down. You stop reacting. You start directing. You stop chasing everything. You start building something. That's the shift. From scattered to sharp. From drifting to driven. From overwhelmed to locked in. This is how you rise. This is how you grow. This is how you lead your mind, and through it, lead your life. Chapter 7. Your inner voice. Rewriting the script in your head. There's a voice inside you that never goes silent. It speaks when no one's around. It comments on every move you make. It judges, it questions, it doubts. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it screams. This voice? That's your inner dialogue, your inner voice. And most people never realize that this voice is not just talking. It's shaping their identity. It's building the ceiling on their potential. That voice in your head, it's the most consistent influence in your life. You hear it more than you hear anyone else. You sleep with it. You wake up to it. You carry it into every relationship, every opportunity, every challenge. And yet, we rarely ask, who gave that voice its script? Where did those lines come from? I'm not good enough. I always mess things up. No one really cares about me. This is just who I am. You weren't born thinking like that. Someone taught your inner voice how to speak. Maybe it was a parent, a teacher, a bully, a painful experience. Maybe it was years of hearing be realistic. Don't expect too much. You're too much. You're not enough. Those voices got planted. And over time, they became your own. But here's the truth. Your inner voice is programmable. You can rewrite the script. You can retrain your internal dialogue to speak in a new language. One of strength, clarity, confidence, direction. But first, you must become aware. You must slow down enough to hear what that voice actually says. Not what you think it says, but what it really whispers when you're tired, scared, triggered. Does it encourage you or embarrass you? Does it lift you or limit you? When you fail, does it say you're human, let's grow, or of course you failed again? Typical you. That difference? That's the difference between someone who rises and someone who remains stuck. Your inner voice can be your coach or your captor. It can build your future or repeat your past. But here's the key. You are not the voice. You are the one listening. And if you're the listener, you can choose what voice plays in your head. That means you can replace criticism with compassion. You can challenge lies with truth. You can reframe failures as fuel. You can take control of the narrative. Every time that voice says, "You'll never change," you reply, "I am already changing." When it says, "You always mess things up," you respond, "I'm learning from every mistake." When it says, "No one cares," you remind yourself, "I care, I'm here, and I will show up for myself." You don't fight the voice with violence. You fight it with truth and repetition and choice. And yes, it takes time. The old voice won't disappear in a day. But every time you speak to yourself with power, you weaken the grip of the past. You rewire the neurons. You shift the tone. You take the microphone back. And slowly, that new voice becomes your default voice. A voice that says, "You've got this. Stay focused. Let's go again. You're not perfect, but you're progressing." Your past does not decide your future. This is not fake positivity. This is mental leadership. It's how high performers think. It's how survivors become builders. It's how broken people become whole again. Because at the end of the day, you become what you repeatedly say to yourself. You cannot speak failure and expect to feel empowered. You cannot rehearse fear and expect to act with courage. Your words create your world. So protect your internal conversation. Speak to yourself like someone you love. Speak to yourself like someone you want to rise. Because no one hears you more than you. Even when no one believes in you, if your inner voice believes, you still have a shot. But if your inner voice has turned against you, even the support of the world will fall flat. So start today. Catch the toxic scripts. Pause them. Replace them. Pick peace. Speak purpose. Speak power. That voice in your head. It's your most loyal companion. Train it well, and it will carry you through every storm. Because when your inner voice becomes your biggest ally, you become unstoppable from the inside out. Chapter 8. Mental Clarity. How to eliminate noise and find your true direction. Clarity is power. When your mind is clear, your path feels simple. When your path feels simple, your steps become bold. And when your steps are bold, your life starts moving in the direction of your dreams. But clarity is rare, because the modern mind is crowded, not with wisdom, but with noise. Too many tabs open, too many opinions, too many voices, notifications, expectations, comparisons, regrets and distractions. And this noise, it clouds your judgment. It slows your movement. It weakens your confidence. It convinces you to stay still, because everything feels overwhelming. Most people don't fail from lack of talent. They fail from lack of clarity. They don't know what they truly want. They don't know what actually matters. They don't know who they are, because they've never created silence long enough to hear the answer. That's why clarity is not found. It's created. You don't wait for it. You build it, and you build it by removing what's blocking it. You clear the fog, you eliminate the noise. You strip away the excess until what remains is real, raw, and right. So where does mental noise come from? It comes from information overload, from trying to listen to everybody but yourself, from holding on to past wounds that no longer serve you, from multitasking your way through life instead of moving with focused intention. Noise isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. It's the silent self-doubt, the constant overthinking, the invisible weight of living someone else's life. To eliminate noise, you must start by pausing. Not running, not fixing, not scrolling. Just pausing. Because clarity lives in stillness. Take a moment to breathe. Not shallow breath, but deep, slow, grounded breathing. The kind that reminds your mind, I'm safe. I'm here. I'm present. When your breath slows, your thoughts follow. And when your thoughts slow, the truth begins to rise. That's when you start to hear your own voice again. Not the one shaped by fear or external noise, but the one beneath the surface. The voice that knows. The voice that says, this is what matters. This is where I'm going. This is who I am. And from that place, you begin to move differently. You stop chasing everything. You start choosing one thing. You stop comparing your lane to others. You start honoring your own pace. You stop reacting to every opinion. You start trusting your own intuition. This is clarity. It doesn't mean life becomes perfect. It means you know where you're going, even if the path is messy. Because you're no longer lost in noise. You're tuned into purpose. To maintain clarity, you must protect your mind like a garden. Don't let weeds grow. Guard your attention. Limit what you consume. Ask yourself, does this feed my peace? Does this serve my purpose? If not, cut it. Unfollow. Unplug. Unsubscribe. Not out of anger, but out of alignment. You're not here to absorb everything. You're here to align with your thing, your truth, your calling, your unique. Clarity also comes from simplifying. The more complex your mental environment, the slower you move. Clarity is built through subtraction, not addition. Don't ask, what more do I need? Ask, what can I let go of? Let go of the need to impress. Let go of the fear of missing out. Let go of the belief that everything must happen now. Let go of doing 100 things halfway and start doing one thing with full presence. Focus is clarity in action. When you know what matters, you stop wasting time on what doesn't. You stop saying yes to every request. You stop explaining yourself to everyone. You stop being pulled in 10 directions. You become calm, rooted, unshakable. And that energy, it's rare. That energy, it's magnetic, because the world is full of noise. But a clear mind, that's rare gold. People will feel it in your words, in your tone, in your decisions, in your silence. Because clarity doesn't have to shout. Clarity doesn't beg. Clarity knows. It knows when to say yes. It knows when to say no. It knows when to walk away. It knows when to stay and build. And you are capable of building that level of clarity. Not someday, now. But only if you choose it. Only if you create the space. Only if you clean the mental desk. Only if you stop listening to everyone else long enough to finally hear yourself. Because once you hear yourself, you'll know what to do. You'll know where to go. You'll know what to ignore. And from there, your life will begin to reflect your clarity. Your results will speak with precision. Your days will align with vision. Your energy will match your mission. Because now, your mind is no longer a cluttered drawer of random files. It's a sharpened blade. It's a guided arrow. It's a light cutting through the fog. And with that kind of clarity, nothing can stop you. Chapter 9. The Power of Delayed Gratification. How to win the long game. In a world obsessed with now, patience is a rebellion. While most people chase instant results, successful people play the long game. They know something powerful, something quiet, something simple. Delayed gratification is how you win. It means resisting what's easy today for what's meaningful tomorrow. It means saying not yet to distractions so you can say yes to destiny. It's the art of choosing growth over pleasure, vision over impulse, mission over mood. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they can't wait. They give up halfway. They quit the gym after a few weeks. They drop the dream when it gets boring. They abandon the process for something that feels better in the moment. But short-term pleasure always costs long-term peace. Let's make this clear. The mind loves dopamine. It craves that quick hit of satisfaction, the notification, the dessert, the validation, the lazy scroll. And the world is designed to feed that craving. Everything is built for now: fast food, fast content, fast attention. But here's what no one tells you. Fast doesn't last. What comes quickly often fades just as fast. But what takes time, what's built with discipline, focus, patience, that lasts, that grows, that multiplies. Because real success is never instant. Building a strong body takes time. Learning a new skill takes time. Healing, mastering emotions, building a business, rewriting your identity, all of it takes time. And the people who win, they're not the smartest. They're the ones who can wait. They can delay the reward. They can show up when it's hard. They can hold the line when others break, because they trust the process more than the pleasure. This mindset changes everything. You stop looking for shortcuts. You stop needing applause after every step. You stop chasing outcomes and start falling in love with the grind. That's the shift. You don't just work for the goal, you become the kind of person who shows up with or without the goal. You realize, even if I don't see results today, I still win by showing up. And over time, the results come. They compound, because every small act of delayed gratification stacks up. Every time you save instead of spend, train instead of quit, read instead of scroll, invest instead of consume, you're building a future most people will never taste because they were too busy chasing the moment. Delayed gratification builds character. It builds self-control. It builds trust with yourself. Because you start proving to your own mind, I don't need the easy thing. I can handle the hard thing. And that proof becomes your power. That's how you build self-respect. You start making decisions not based on how they feel in the moment, but how they'll shape you in the future. This is not about being a monk or a robot. It's about choosing when to say yes, and more importantly, when to say not yet. It's about understanding the value of time, the value of preparation, the value of patience. You don't plant a seed and expect a tree in 5 minutes. You water it, you protect it. You wait because you know the reward is coming. And when it comes, it will be strong, stable, and lasting. This applies to everything. Relationships, don't rush love. Build connection. Money, don't chase quick cash. Build wealth slowly. Mindset, don't fake positivity. Build mental strength day by day. Career, don't switch paths every month. Build something with roots. The long game will always look boring at first, but it will always feel better in the end. And yes, it will be lonely sometimes, because the world will celebrate the loud, flashy wins of others. You'll see people getting results faster than you, but you stay steady. You stay grounded, because your foundation is deeper, and deep roots don't fear storms. This is the mindset of high performers. Athletes, creators, entrepreneurs, leaders, they all share this. They know when to wait. They know when to grind. They know that emotional discipline, consistency, and delayed reward are the real flex. You don't need applause for every step. You need to trust that every step is taking you somewhere better. Because while the world is chasing the next trend, you're building a future. And when that future arrives, it will be yours. Earned. Built. Live. Not borrowed. Not lucky, but forged in silence, in patience, in repetition. So the next time you feel like quitting, remind yourself, this is the part where most people stop. But you delay the gratification, and you win the game. Chapter 10. Train your mind to love the process. Everybody wants the result. Everybody wants the body, the money, the freedom, the status, the success, but very few people want the process. The early mornings, the lonely nights, the repetition, the boredom, the discipline that nobody claps for. That's where most people fall off, because their love is conditional. They love progress, but not the path. They love victory, but not the grind. They love the dream, but not the daily. But you cannot master the destination until you marry the process. You cannot win the game until you fall in love with the practice. This is the hidden switch in every champion's mind. They are not obsessed with applause. They are obsessed with improvement. They are not waiting for the reward. They find meaning in the repetition. When you learn to love the process, you become unbeatable, because you stop needing instant results. You stop fearing failure. You stop comparing timelines. You start doing the work, not for praise but for power, not for likes, but for life. The process is where identity is built. It's where character is revealed. It's where grit is tested. The gym with no music, the office when it's dark, the lonely study nights, the quiet weekends when others are out partying and you're still building. That's where the real transformation happens. Not on the stage, not on the highlight reel, but in the silence, when nobody's watching but you. The world wants quick wins, but quick wins don't build warriors. Quick wins don't build wisdom. Quick wins don't build you. The process breaks you first, and then it rebuilds you stronger. It humbles your ego. It sharpens your focus. It shows you what matters and what doesn't. And the people who quit, they didn't love the process. They loved the fantasy of success, but not the cost of becoming great. But you, if you train your mind right, you'll see that the process is the gift. Every rep is a lesson. Every step is a sharpening. Every sacrifice is a seed. And those seeds, they grow slowly, but when they bloom, they don't fade. Because anything built through consistent process becomes permanent. Anything built through obsession with the process becomes unshakable. So how do you train your mind to love it? You stop asking, how long will it take? You start asking, how far can I go? You stop waiting to feel motivated. You start showing up because it's who you are now. You stop saying, I have to do this. You start saying, I get to do this. You stop chasing hacks. You start building habits. You don't chase fire. You build wood and create the fire. You wake up and go again. You fall and you stand again. You plateau and you push again, because that's the life you chose. Not the easy one, the earned one. When you love the process, you stop negotiating with yourself. You don't wait for permission. You don't need inspiration. You become the inspiration. Others scroll. You study. Others sleep. You practice. Others dream. You do. That's the difference. Not talent, not luck, but a quiet obsession with the process. That's what separates those who almost made it from those who never stopped. Because when you fall in love with the process, you don't quit, you adapt. You don't chase outcomes, you evolve. You don't get tired of trying, you get better at trying smarter. And one day, you look around and realize the results have come. The body has changed. The mind has sharpened. The business has grown. The skill has matured. The life has transformed. But not because you chased the end, because you showed up for the middle. That's what it takes. So if you're in the process right now, if it feels slow, if it feels quiet, if it feels unrewarded, good. That means you're doing it right. Now double down, sharpen the axe, refine the work, smile through the repetition. Because this is what they won't do, but this is what makes you unstoppable. Love the process, and the process will love you back. Chapter 11. Mastering Self-Control. How to stop giving in to every impulse. There's a war inside you, a constant battle between who you are and who you could be, between your higher self and your hungry self, between purpose and pleasure, between long-term vision and short-term feeling. And every day that battle plays out in your choices. Every scroll, every snack, every word, every click, every delay, tiny decisions that shape your destiny. Self-control is not about restriction. It's about dominion. It's about reminding yourself, I run this mind, I run this body, I am the commander, not the prisoner. Most people live in reaction mode. They don't choose. They respond. They don't lead, they follow feeling. I feel tired, so I'll quit. I feel bored, so I'll scroll. I feel tempted, so I'll indulge. I feel frustrated, so I'll explode. But here's the brutal truth. If you don't control your impulses will control your life. And not in big dramatic moments. In the small, daily, unspoken decisions that no one sees. The habits, the cravings, the excuses. You cannot build a strong life on weak decisions. And you cannot make strong decisions if you obey every impulse. So what exactly is an impulse? An impulse is a sudden urge, a hit of emotion that screams, do it now. It could be food, distraction, anger, pleasure, escape, anything that pulls you out of alignment with who you say you want to be. Impulse is not your enemy, but it is your test. It's the test between being owned and being in ownership. Every time you resist the impulse, even for a few seconds, you strengthen your inner muscle. You build power. You say, I'm not just a body. I'm not just chemicals. I'm not a slave to this. And that one pause, that one breath, is where transformation begins. Self-control is not a talent. It's a practice. It's a habit. It's a decision made over and over again, until it becomes who you are. Because listen, your future doesn't need more speed. It needs more stability. It needs a version of you who doesn't spiral every time life gets hard. It needs a version of you who can sit with the craving and not act on it, who can feel the emotion and not explode. That's real strength, because power is not shown in how loud you are, how calmly you can walk away from what used to control you, how silently you can rise while others stay stuck in their patterns. Self-control is also self-respect. It's saying, I value myself too much to sabotage. I value my peace too much to argue. I value my growth too much to gamble it for 5 seconds of pleasure. People think freedom is doing whatever you want. No, that's chaos. True freedom is being able to choose what's right, even when everything in you wants what's easy. So how do you build self-control? Start with awareness. Catch the pattern. Interrupt the urge. Create space between feeling and action. Even 5 seconds of pause rewires the brain. Then build a replacement. Don't just say no. Say instead. Don't just fight the urge, redirect it. Instead of scrolling, stand up. Instead of eating, drink water. Instead of reacting, observe. And remind yourself, every time I win over impulse, I become stronger, clearer, sharper, more me. Because the real you is not chaotic. The real you is disciplined, driven, calm under pressure, focused in fire. You just have to uncover that version, one moment at a time. And yes, it will be hard. Yes, you will fail sometimes. But each time you fight back, you chip away at the old version. You build something stronger underneath. You train your nervous system. You train your mind. You train your identity. You stop being the person who always gives in and become the person who always gets through. And people will feel it. Your presence will change, because nothing is more powerful than a human in control of themselves. Not control of others, not control of outcomes, but control of themselves. That's the ultimate freedom. That's the quiet fire. That's what changes lives. And it begins with one decision. I will not be ruled by impulse. I will be ruled by vision. Chapter 12. Upgrade your environment. Control the triggers that control you. You are not just a product of your choices. You are also a product of your environment. And the truth is, your environment is shaping your decisions more than you think. Every trigger around you, every sound, sight, smell, and structure is influencing your behavior, your habits, and even your thoughts. You might think you have weak willpower, but maybe your environment is just too strong. Let's break it down. You say you want to focus, but your phone's right beside you. You say you want to eat healthy, but your kitchen is full of junk. You say you want to meditate, but your space is noisy, cluttered, chaotic. You're not broken. You're just fighting a battle with one hand tied behind your back. That's why high performers don't just work hard, they design hard. They design an environment that supports who they're trying to become. Because if your environment works against your goal, your willpower won't be enough. Willpower is a great starter, but environment is the sustainer. The strongest minds are not built by resistance alone. They are shaped by structure. They are maintained by systems. They are supported by surroundings that whisper, keep going. So how do you take back control? Start by identifying your triggers. What pulls you off track? What makes you scroll without thinking? What distracts you when you're locked in? What people, places, patterns weaken your discipline? Get honest. Because the things you allow around you eventually grow inside you. Then upgrade it. Remove what weakens you. Reduce what drains you. Replace what distracts you. Refill with what strengthens you. If your room looks like chaos, your mind will follow. If your social media feed is noise, your self-image will distort. If your friends are small thinkers, your goals will shrink to fit in. But if your room inspires peace, if your feed reflects growth, if your circle breathes ambition, your life will change without forcing it. That's the power of environment. It lowers friction. It makes the right choice the easy choice. It helps you stay consistent, not just through willpower, but through design. Want to read more? Put the book beside your bed. Want to wake up early? Set your alarm far from arm's reach. Want to drink more water? Place the bottle in your direct path. Want to stay focused? Block the apps. Silence the noise. Create digital boundaries. This isn't overthinking. This is preparation. This is playing offense with your future. And it doesn't stop at objects. People are part of your environment too. Ask yourself, do they speak life into your dreams? Or do they drain your belief? Do they challenge you to level up? Or keep you locked in comfort? You don't need perfect people. You need aligned people. People who don't just like you, but respect who you're becoming. And yes, upgrading your environment might feel uncomfortable, because change always does. But discomfort is temporary. Your transformation is permanent. So be ruthless with your surroundings. Protect your peace. Create order. Build flow. Let your space reflect your future, not your past. Because when your environment changes, your habits change. When your habits change, your identity shifts. And when your identity shifts, your life follows. This is how champions train. They don't just show up. They set up. They build environments that breathe discipline, that echo focus, that reflect the standard they've committed to. You want to become elite? Then surround yourself with what makes excellence easy. Don't leave it to chance. Build systems. Design triggers. Automate habits. Make the good decision. The default. Because when your environment speaks your goals back to you every day, you stop needing motivation. You stop relying on force. You start moving with rhythm. The rhythm of a life that is aligned. A life where the inner world and outer world support each other. A life that no longer needs escape because it is built on purpose. So today, look around. Not with judgment, but with clarity. And start rebuilding. Start refining. Start removing what doesn't serve you and replacing it with what does. This isn't just cleaning your room. This is cleaning your mind. This is upgrading your inner game through the outer layer. And when both match, you become unshakable. Chapter 13. How to stay consistent, even when you don't feel like it. You've heard it 1,000 times. Be consistent. Show up every day. But no one talks about the hard part. Because let's be honest, you won't always be motivated. There will be days when the fire dies out. When the dream feels far. When the routine feels heavy. When the mind whispers, just skip today. And in those moments, that's when your future is decided. Not on your best day, but on your worst. Not when you're fired up, but when you're tired, uninspired, and nobody's watching. That's the truth about consistency. It's not about feelings, it's about follow-through. Feelings are waves. They rise and fall, but consistency is the boat. It's what keeps you moving, even when the sea gets rough. Let me tell you something. The people you admire, the ones who built greatness, they didn't always feel like it. They didn't always wake up full of drive. They just learned one thing. Don't make decisions based on mood. Make them based on mission. You're not building a habit for today. You're building a standard for life. And life won't always ask how you feel. It will ask what you did, despite how you felt. So how do you stay consistent? You simplify. You stop trying to feel perfect. You stop chasing inspiration. You stop needing fireworks. You start choosing rhythm. Because rhythm beats intensity. Consistency isn't about going hard once. It's about going smart again and again and again. One page, one rep, one breath. You don't have to finish the race today. You just have to keep walking forward. Here's where most people go wrong. They wait for motivation. They wait for clarity. They wait for the right time. But consistency doesn't wait. It moves, even if slow, even if tired, even if alone. Because every time you show up, especially when it's hard, you prove something powerful to your mind. I'm serious. I don't just talk about change. I live it. I don't just dream. I do. That proof becomes your identity. And identity is what keeps you going. You become someone who trains not sometimes, but always. Someone who writes, who builds, who prays, who shows up, no matter what. And when the world gets noisy, you keep walking. When the results are slow, you keep walking. When no one claps, you keep walking. Because you've made a decision. Not based on hype, but based on who you're becoming. And yes, there will be days when you slip. When you fall, when you break the streak. But consistency isn't about never missing. It's about never quitting. You miss once. You return. You fall off. You reset. You get distracted. You realign. No guilt. No drama. Just get back. Because the comeback is always stronger than the fall. If you come back fast, your job is not to be perfect. Your job is to be committed. To the vision. To the habit. To the process. And to remember this, success isn't one giant leap. It's 1,000 tiny choices made when no one sees. You choose discipline over comfort, focus over noise, action over excuse. Day after day after day, and slowly, the results start to stack. The mindset gets stronger. The body gets sharper. The path becomes clearer. The future gets closer. But not because you rushed. Not because you forced it. Just because you refused to stop. So next time the feeling fades, smile. Because this is the moment that builds you. Not the easy days. Not the loud days. But the quiet, heavy, ordinary days. That's where legends are made. Stay consistent. Even when no one sees. Even when no one believes. Even when you don't feel like it. Because consistency doesn't just build habits. It builds you. Chapter 14, The Mental Reset. How to bounce back from setbacks fast. No matter how focused you are, how disciplined, how driven, setbacks will come. Moments that break your rhythm. Days where nothing goes as planned. Seasons where you feel like you've lost your fire. It's not a question of if you'll fall. It's a question of how fast you'll get back up. Because bouncing back quickly, that's the real superpower. Not never falling, but mastering the mental reset. Most people, when they hit a wall, stay down too long. They think a bad day means a bad life. They let a single mistake rewrite their entire story. They internalize the failure. They turn one missed step into a full stop. But a setback is not the end. It's just a pause. A break in momentum. Not a break in identity. And if you know how to reset your mind, you'll always find your way back. So how do you do it? You start by separating the event from your identity. Failing a workout doesn't make you lazy. Missing a deadline doesn't mean you're unworthy. Losing focus doesn't mean you're weak. It just means you're human. And humans fall. But they also rise. Tell yourself, this moment is data, not a definition. This mistake is information, not condemnation. This feeling is temporary, but my mission is permanent. Because here's the truth. Nothing is lost if you return fast. You don't need to feel shame. You need to feel momentum. Even if it's small. Even if it's quiet. Even if it's shaky. Don't wait for everything to be perfect again. Just get back in motion. The reset begins with a decision. A line in the sand. A whispered promise to yourself. I'm not quitting here. Then, simplify. When you fall off track, your brain panics. It overthinks. It spirals. It tries to figure everything out at once. But healing doesn't come through thinking. It comes through doing one small thing. Drink water. Take a deep breath. Go for a walk. Write one line. Do 5 push-ups. Say one powerful sentence. I'm back. That's how you regain control. Not through force, through flow. Tiny actions done immediately. Because the fastest way to bounce back is not to fight the past. It's to shift the present. This is what elite minds do. They fall. They feel the pain. But they don't live in the pain. They pause, reflect, reset. Then they get back to work. No drama. No over-explaining. No waiting for motivation to return. Just action. And with every reset, you build more resilience. Your bounce-back rate gets faster. What used to take you weeks now takes days. What used to paralyze you now sharpens you. Because your identity evolves. You stop seeing setbacks as signs to stop. You start seeing them as signals to upgrade. Every obstacle becomes a mirror, showing you where you need to grow. Not where you're failing, but where you're refining. That's the beauty of setbacks. They don't shrink you unless you let them. They don't define you unless you agree. They only win if you stay down. So next time you fall, remember, the goal is not to avoid the fall. The goal is to respond like a leader, to return with more wisdom, more hunger, more precision. And if you've been down for a while, there's still time. You haven't failed. You've just paused. You've just forgotten how powerful your reset button really is. Press it now, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Stand up inside yourself. Say it. I'm not finished. I'm not broken. I'm just getting back up. Let that moment become your turning point. Because when others stay stuck, you move. When others need permission, you decide. When others wait to be saved, you rise from within. And that, my friend, is what separates the ordinary from the unbreakable. Chapter 15, Your mind is your kingdom. Rule it or be ruled. Your mind is not a battlefield anymore. It's not a broken machine. It's not a chaotic storm. It is, and always has been, a kingdom. And in that kingdom, you have 2 choices. Rule it or be ruled by it. If you don't take the throne, something else will. Your fears will. Your impulses will. Your past will. Your pain will. Your doubts, your distractions, your lazy habits, they will rise and sit where you were meant to sit. But you were born to lead your mind. Not as a dictator, not as a victim, but as a wise and fearless ruler, one who builds not just a life, but a legacy. So how do you rule your inner kingdom? First, you take responsibility. You stop blaming the world. You stop blaming your parents. You stop blaming time, people, luck, or failure. You stand up and say, this is mine. My thoughts, my emotions, my actions, my results. Because a king never waits to be rescued. He rises. He gathers himself. He reorganizes the kingdom from within. And he starts building again. Second, you establish order. A mind without order is a kingdom in chaos. You create rituals. You guard your time. You set standards. You speak with intention. You protect your gates, your eyes, your ears, your heart. You don't let just anyone into your space. You don't consume just anything on your screen. You don't say yes to things that drain your fire, because in this kingdom, clarity is law. Third, you rule with discipline. Not with force, but with focus. Not with fear, but with faith. Not through perfection, but through persistence. You don't react to every feeling. You don't chase every pleasure. You command your thoughts. You direct your emotions. You choose your words. You honor your vision. You understand, a mind without command is a mind in chains. And your job is to break those chains every single day. Fourth, you protect your peace. Because peace is power. It's what allows you to think clearly, act wisely, and lead from strength. You don't let the world steal your calm. You don't let the past haunt your nights. You forgive, release, reset, because your energy must remain clean. A king cannot carry resentment. A king cannot walk heavy. A king must be light enough to rise. And lastly, you lead by example. You don't preach, you live. You don't talk of greatness, you embody it. Others will feel your mind before they hear your words. Because when your mind is ruled well, your presence becomes undeniable. You enter a room, and people feel your focus. You speak, and your words carry weight. You work, and your results leave echoes. Not because you're lucky, not because you're perfect, but because you took the throne. You chose to rule, even when it was hard, even when it was lonely, even when no one clapped. And now, you are unshakable, because you understand, if you don't rule your mind, something else will. If you don't write your thoughts, old voices will. If you don't protect your focus, the world will scatter it. If you don't lead from purpose, your emotions will pull you in every direction. But now, you are awake. You are aware. You are armed. You have learned to control your emotions, to reprogram your thoughts, to return after failure, to move through distraction, to build through boredom, to rise after weakness, to lead yourself from within. This is not the end. This is your coronation. This is where you leave the battlefield and enter the throne room. From this moment on, speak like a ruler, walk like a ruler, decide like a ruler, rise like a ruler, because your mind is your kingdom, and no one else will rule it for you. Now take your seat. The throne is yours.